It's 2024 and y'all should know by now that you can't smoke with everybody, man. Sometimes not even your friends. And I wish this kid would have known that before he decided to dabble in God's lettuce that was laced. Because he came to the psych ward that I worked at with very, very unique issues and symptoms. Just to give you a little background, this kid had just went to college, full ride scholarship type vibes, very smart, very with it. So he decides to hang out with his friends at his dad's cottage for the weekend. They were all between the ages of 19 and 21, but adults were still there. And that's when they decided to dabble in some substances. God's lettuce was at the college, mushrooms, pills. They were looking to have a great time over the weekend. Well, when it was homie's turn to hit God's lettuce, it sent him down a psychotic trip that would last for the next year and 7 months. His brain said, I promise to try and stay with you. We gonna lock in, but you about to be dealing with this psychosis for a while. So let me tell y'all what happened. He comes to our ward, bug-eyed and hospital gowns, pretty normal and presenting well. It was late at night. Extremely anxious, but that's not out of the norm when people come to the ward because they're worried about like how long they're gonna be here, who's all in here with them. They're coming from a lot of life traumas, so I wasn't really alarmed by that, but I was alarmed by this. While sitting down, he immediately reaches out and attempts to reach for my face. I had no idea that's what he was doing, but he was shaking tremendously like Parkinson's on 1,000 as he was trying to reach for my face. I'm like, whoa, what's going on? He's like, I'm sorry. These voices, they're just telling me that I have to touch your face. Come again? So one of the psychotic symptoms from him being laced was a voice that was in his head. Every time somebody walked by, a number would, pop up in his head. And he was supposed to touch that person's face that many times. As you can imagine, we saw a road full of problems ahead if he goes up to any of these patients, some of them that are extremely violent and paranoid themselves, with the idea that he was going to touch their face a certain amount of times. Him exhibiting these symptoms are noted. He goes to sleep for the night, wakes up in the morning, there's day shift. I come back in on afternoon shift, seeing that he is on the one-to-one because during the day shift, he in fact was attempting to touch patients' faces, which led to increased paranoia for certain patients around the unit. And it was a huge safety issue for the young man that was doing this. When I tell y'all the compulsion that was in his body, you could tell that there was just such a tie between the voice in his head and like him not being able to fully control himself. So while he's on a one-to-one, which means a staff having to be with him at all times at arm's reach, us staff had to make sure that he wasn't touching anybody's face. And what that looked like is when patients will walk by, we had to stand in between as a barrier and literally like kind of wrestle him away from other patients. And it was just one of the weirdest compulsions I've ever seen from somebody, because while he's doing it, he'd be teary-eyed and apologizing. And at night is when he received the most mental clarity as to what his condition was, where he'd be up crying himself to sleep for 2.5 hours. We really didn't know what to do. We had no idea what to do. We're just stopping the compulsions, but the voices are still coming. The psychiatrist didn't know whether to treat it like schizophrenia or not because it was it was a drug-induced psychosis. So he had to suffer through the assessment as they gathered resources to see how to help this gentleman. But that's when my coworker technician came to save the day. God bless her. She came up with the idea of, when you hear these voices pop into your head and tell you how many times to touch your face, just touch my face that many times so we don't have to deal with anybody. God bless her, because I was not about to have my pores violated like that. Although she did keep a whole lot of alcohol wipes on deck to make sure that it stayed clean, but I wasn't going to do that either. It's important to have boundaries as a technician and also working together. And she was super willing to do that and take that for the team. And it did help. So whenever he felt the compulsion, I would see him stroking her face with the back of his hand because she did make stipulations. After a while, she did even put the latex gloves on, or have him put the latex gloves on. Not latex, because the hypoallergenic ones, because we couldn't have latex. But yeah, he stayed in our facility for a couple of months and then went to a long-term facility. But get this, around spring of the following year, he actually called our facility, gave us a full update on how he was doing, and thanking everybody for working with him, and that it was a long journey, but he finally was able to recover, not having any voices anymore, not needing to be on any long-term medications, and that he was getting back into college and was able to keep his scholarship. What a scary and horrible time for him. And not everybody can be so lucky. I've seen permanently messed up people from drug-induced psychosis. So you better mind the garden that you get your lettuce from. And you best know the farmer or be the farmer your dang self these days. I mean, who don't like lettuce from God's garden every now and then? Even this here real one burn down some ganja every once in a while. That's me. Don't use my handwriting to write your name. But let me know y'all thoughts on this in the comment section. You ever been laced before? Drop a comment or send me a personal email at jpsychwardstories@gmail.com. My inbox here tends to get full and people can't send me messages all the time, but I do check my email. So if you want to send me a personal story, I'll check it there. And on my weekly live stream, I do a Q&A. We talk about all my psych stories y'all found interesting. I give y'all some tips, tools, and resources, and we get to hear from other people in this psych community that have various backgrounds, whether they've been a patient, whether they're thinking about being a patient, whether you're a psychiatrist, a doctor, a nurse, a CNA. Man, the background is super diverse. Maybe you just here for the entertainment to have some laughs or to learn something. Maybe you're going through it and you need some people to support you. Come on through. Come on through. Come home. I got your back like chiropractic. I'll see you on the next story.